Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Jawad Saadi and I'm the Managing Director of Hexatronic Security and Surveillance, and I welcome you to this 20-minute presentations, and thanks for Stadsnätsföreningen for organizing this yearly conference. Today we're going to speak about the InOne solution, which is a hybrid power and fiber system. I'm going to start with some slides and then we're going to have hands-on demo, and in the end you have an option for a Q&A, whether you put it in the chat or unmute your microphone and ask it directly. You're most welcome. To see my presentation in full view, you can click on the window where I'm presenting and it will put me in full screen, so you see it in full screen. So let's start with the presentation. Many of you know about the Hexatronic Group. We are a group of over 20 companies now, and we are one of these companies focused on the InOne solution that is the topic of the day. Smart cities and smart networks is implying that you need connected devices. Many vendors, almost the majority of vendors of devices, use the PoE standard, which is extremely practical for connecting devices. And that standard is a 15-20-year-old that have developed over the years, and more powers was added up to 100 watts these days. But the distance is limited by the standard to the 100 meters of the Ethernet interface. So what about if you have distances that are longer than that? And this is what we have with the InOne. We're going to explain to you how you can push your PoE devices kilometers inside the network and extending the PoE reach from 100 meters to several kilometers. The core of the product is a cable like this, which is a hybrid power and fiber cable that holds the power and the fiber. But it's not only the cable, it's a total system. And let's start with the slides. In the data center, we have what we call a hybrid distribution node, where you combine both the power and the fiber into one cable, and then you distribute it over your network and you connect your devices, whether they are security cameras, any kind of sensors, public Wi-Fi access points, radio base stations. They can be any kind of a device. In the hybrid distribution node, we convert the AC to DC, and we convert it to 110 volts DC, and that's the European safety standards for DC voltage transmission. Then in the hybrid ODF, we bring in the fiber from the core network and we combine them into the InOne cable. Now on the other end, we have the hybrid access node, and now it's time to split the power and fiber. So we take the fiber to the switch and the power, and depending on where this node is in the network, now the voltage have dropped from 110 to 90, 80, depending on the distance and load. So we regulate the voltage. We regulate it to a standard 48 volts DC. There's an option of 56 volts DC as well to power up the industrial switch. And we use different industrial switches from different vendors, so you have a choice in that. If you have a device that takes an SFP directly and only need the 48 volts, you can use the InOne cabinet and connect it directly to your device without inserting an industrial switch inside it. Now the cable, we have different sizes of cable in the copper diameter or in the fiber count, and we can to get all the details, get in touch with us and we'll send you all the specs. Another beautiful thing of the InOne solution and this compact InOne cable, that you can use it with the standard Hexatronic ducts. So if you have a direct burial installation, you use something like these ducts that many of you know already. If you have an aerial implementation, you have the aerial ducts, and there is the underwater armored ducts. Many of you are already familiar with the Hexatronic ducts and blown fiber technology. The InOne system can follow any network topology. So if you have your devices connected in a bus, in a star, in a fan-out topology, we can follow any network topology. And that's a great advantage because we don't imply any network topology that will add cost in the civil implementation. Also, another advantage, if you have your devices connected in a ring topology, so you're protected against any cable cuts. It's not only the fiber that is protected, but also the power. So if there is any fiber cut, any cable cut at any point, we feed both the power and the fiber from the other side of the ring without causing any disruption to the devices. If you're implementing traditional AC cables, connecting AC power in a ring topology is not possible. Now, many times we get the question, how far can I have the devices? So to do that, we have a calculation tool. And so you don't need to refer to any external consultants to do the power calculations for you. We have made this software tool that takes into consideration the power budget. So we're starting with 10 amps of 110 volts DC. What is the network topology, the distances, the device loads, any network losses, the cable, especially the copper diameter size. You enter all these parameters in the software tool, and it will give you the distances how you can connect the devices. And we have a design service that we can also, if you give us the maps of your network, we can make the full design from you with all the power calculations, the fiber counts, and a bill of material. This is an interesting slide. If we look at a turnkey project cost, and we take the graph on the left, the traditional, if you put, and traditionally, they have a separate network, one for the power, AC power, and one for the fiber, with two civil networks, two excavations, backfilling everything. And then they have the edge switches, the industrial switches. Their application, I'm using CCTV in this application because it's a very common application where the InOne is used, and some software on top of it. If you use the InOne, then the reduction is done on the infrastructure. The power cables, the fiber, and the civil work for the two networks are combined into one. And I always keep with me here an example. I took this from one of our executed projects when the customer started with the AC cables. This is the kind of cables that they used, where with the InOne we're using this kind of cable, and only with the size difference you can see the amount of convenience and savings that you can have. And replacing the two civil networks into one, that's a great saving to start with. So the saving is never a challenge to prove how much saving. It is how much saving, and that depends on the type of project and the labor cost. So let's summarize the benefits of the InOne solution. We have big claims about the savings. We claim 50 to 70%, and we have proved it over and over when we have designed the InOne for customer solutions. The speed of deployment for many factors. One of them because we're using a hybrid blown cable, so it's much faster to blow the cable in comparison with traditional installation, but also because you have one civil network instead of two. That's a speed factor. Security. In many cases, you could assume at first glance that the InOne is useful when you don't have power where you want to connect the devices. But in many cases, customers do have power, but it is not their power. It's not reliable power. Probably there are other systems that are connected to that power. So lights, and there is an electrician from another responsibility that can access this power. And in critical applications, you cannot have that insecurity. So if you're gonna put the fiber optic to connect the devices, you might as well replace the fiber optic cable with the InOne cable and have them both together and save everything in the AC power network. Also redundancy. We have two types of redundancies. The first redundancy against cable cuts in the ring topology, and you can put the UPS in your data center instead of putting the UPS next to the devices, which needs to be IP certified for external environment. Now with the InOne solution, you can put the UPS inside your data center, or if you choose to put it in a street cabinet, but it will be centralized for all devices. Flexibility, of course, because we support all network topologies. You can at any time change actually your network topology. So you can open the ring or cut the ring and insert new devices, or fan out from the ring. That is all possible. We have in the roadmap bigger cables, higher power cabinets to connect more devices, and the higher power and the bigger cables will increase the distances. We also plan next year to have, this is a prototype of a quick connect, where you have both the power and fiber. You don't need to splice the fiber, you just connect it like that, and that's for tactical applications, for quick installations, temporary sites, many applications, harsh environment, many applications. All right, so let's look at applications. I talked about CCTV, and by far this is where we have the biggest traction in perimeter security, border control, construction sites, mines. Many customers have interest in using the InOne along with their CCTV. Public Wi-Fi is also, many service providers, they want to install public Wi-Fi, so you can use the InOne to connect the public access points. And you can always combine. You don't need to use the InOne for one application. You can use it for multiple applications. You just use switches with VLANs, and then you separate each application in a separate VLAN. We got this requirement to connect microwave links, where sometimes you have the microwave links in areas where there is no power. Usually to have a good radio coverage, you need top of hills, and usually there is no power there. We have tested with some of the vendors, and in this customer example, it was an Ericsson Minilink, and it is connected in a distance of 2.5 kilometers. Another application with rural areas for FTTH service providers, where on the side on the left, they're connecting fiber to the home as usual, but then there is the few homes or farms that are in the distance, and they want to use FWT or fixed wireless broadband radio connection. We can have the point-to-multipoint radio connected with the InOne cable. So you push the fiber to the radio, and you have the power as well to power that radio, and then you connect the last homes with point-to-multipoint FWT. We have also this customer in Norway. It's a salmon farm, and they're using the InOne cable and the InOne system to connect the radios. The radios in the sea, on the float, they are very unstable because of the movement of the tide. So they connected the radio station on land, and they used the InOne system to connect the fiber to the radio and to power the radio. Smart cities. Applications for smart cities are endless. Any devices, I mean, one of the components of a smart city that you have connected devices, and some of those devices can be connected wirelessly and can be battery operated, but other devices, they need fiber optic and they need power, like CCTV camera, access points, LoRaWAN base stations. Also, I mean, depending on the power load and the distances, you can mix and match in a smart city application. Also in IoT, in rural and agricultural areas, you can use the InOne to power the LoRa base stations or any other radio technology that you might use for connecting IoT devices. Also, we have this example with a service provider in New Zealand. It's It's a fiber to the home service provider. In this case, they're using GPON, and we've designed the network for them that they provide a powered port, a PoE port on a VLAN. So and then there are like the security provider goes to the FTTH provider and buys a VLAN with connected ports to connect their cameras. So they want to use the InOne to power these ports, and they use normal ONTs in that case to provide the connectivity. In this example, in New Zealand, it's a retirement village, and they're using these powered ports for both CCTV and nurse call system. This concludes my presentation. Oh, there is one more slide. This is an example that we got from 2 different customers that they're using solar cells, radio, and UPS in every location where they have connected devices, which is quite expensive, and it's a lot of maintenance. I mean, solar is great, but to have the solar distributed wherever you have devices, that's a lot of maintenance and lots of points of failure. So we have discussed with them that they can use the InOne to consolidate all the solar cells in one, all the UPSs in one, and all the radio links in one. So you have one radio connection, one solar system, and one UPS, and then you use the InOne for the distribution. So actually InOne can also coexist where you want to use solar, and it's a great saving when you consolidate all of them together. So this concludes my presentation. I'm gonna give you a quick feel about the product. We're running out of time, so I'll be quite fast in the product demo. Okay, sorry, I want on this side. Okay, this is where we have, it can be inside your data center, but this is an example of street cabinet. This is where we change the AC to DC, and this is the hybrid ODF where we connect both of them. And you see the InOne cable coming out in a duct to the other side. And this is what I wanted to reach to show you. This is the InOne cabinet. It's an access node. And if we open it, here you see, let me bring you a little bit closer. All right, here you see the InOne cable coming in. Now we're splitting the power and the fiber into the fiber cassette, feeding the industrial switch and the power to the voltage regulator that is behind this chassis. And everything here is industrial grade. Everything here is solid state, no moving part. And this cast aluminum cabinet, we use it for the heat dissipation. It's IP65 rated. This is a smaller cabinet if you have only a media converter. And then you can use any kind of an industrial switch. We have different examples of industrial switch. I'll move to the main screen. This was a quick demo. Please, if you have any questions, post them in the Q&A, or go ahead, unmute your microphone and speak out. You can find more information on our homepage. You can see it on the screen, hexatronic.com/InOne, and you can book this demo room, and then we go into more details because it's very hard to cover all aspects in 20 minutes. So I leave it if anyone has any question. Let me look at the chat. All right, so the time is almost up, and I don't see any question at the moment, but please get in touch with us. You can get all our contact details from our landing page. So please contact us, and we can have further discussion. In conclusion, I thank you for your attendance and for your patience, and thanks for the organizers for organizing this event. Thank you.